I think it's fair to say that most people are completely oblivious to Buick's presence in China. After all, the US and China aren't exactly the best of friends. Buick is an all-American nameplate. It's been around since the late 19th century. It's been owned by General Motors since 1908. China, of course, is the red state. It's communist. It's everything that America isn't. So why on earth does such a renowned and prestigious luxury American nameplate like Buick have such presence in China? Well, I'm not going to delve too much into the history, but Buick has actually had a presence in China for over 100 years. It was a luxury car, that became the darling of Chinese officialdom in a country where only officialdom had cars to begin with, until that is the 1990s. Now, when I talk about officialdom, I mean, pretty high-ranking people. Zhou Enlai, for instance, often regarded as the modern architect of China and the country's most modern, well, the first of the more modern premiers in the 1950s, owned a Buick. A lot of the statesmen did. It was their preferred carriage of choice. So consequently, when General Motors decided to capitalize on China's burgeoning car market in the 1990s, when everybody there seemed to trade in their bicycles for motor cars, they wanted to get in on the act pretty quickly. General Motors partnered in 1997 with the Shanghai Automobile Industry Company. I think I've got that right. But SAIC, or SAIC as it's actually known, was very insistent that General Motors maintain a very, very high standard of quality with the products that it built in the Jinhou facility near Shanghai. Because Buick in China is so well renowned, the Buick nameplate was kept when GM went bankrupt in 2010. It was one of 4 brands that GM was allowed to keep under its Chapter 11 reorganization with the government. And Buick, as a brand, sells over 1 million cars a year in China. 80% of all Buicks sold worldwide are in China. So you can see the importance of the market. To start with, SAIC and GM began importing the Buick Regal at the time from the United States. The first cars that SAIC built in China began in 2000, and they were essentially versions of defunct Opel Corsa Bs. It also built a luxury version of the Chevrolet Venture / Opel Sintra minivan called the Buick GL8. And the reason that vehicle has been so popular since then in various iterations is because Chinese officials and their entourages like to ride around in minivans because they're considered luxury vehicles. And the GL8 has proven very popular. In 2014, SAIC and GM began building a small to medium-sized SUV / crossover called the Envision. And 2 years later, it caused a stir because it began importing those cars into the United States. In 2020, the Envision was replaced by the car you see here. Now, in China, the original Envision continues, and this one is called the Envision S. And in China, there's also a three-row version called the Envision Plus as well, which I think we sorely need here. For 2024, the car gets substantially revised. So this is a 2023. It's the last of this particular iteration of the Envision, and we've got one as a demo. I'm Darren, and welcome to Auto Atlantica. Okay, so the Envision actually comes in 3 trim levels. The base is called Preferred. The next trim up is called Essence, which is what we've got here. And then the top level trim, rather like the Encore GX that we had, is the Avenir. And that has the Avenir script on the bottom of the door, and it gets different grayed out LED tail lights, and that also comes with standard adaptive headlights as well. This is an Essence, but it has the ST pack on it. Now, what does the ST pack do? Well, you can order it with the Preferred or the Essence trim levels, and what it does, it gives you a host of sort of sporty niceties, all cosmetic. It gives you the blacked out 20-inch alloy wheels as opposed to the standard 18s. It gives you the black mirror caps. It gives you the black door mirrors. It gives you the black rear spoiler as well. It also gives you these sort of modest black sort of ground effects. The trunk's a decent size considering the shape of the car. It's very, very similar in its styling to a Mazda CX-5, for instance, and it's got those same sporty looks, but the trunk space is very good. We tend to use these cars mainly for taking recycling down to a recyclery, and it accommodates what we need very well. The parcel shelf comes with the ST package. It's one thing that I don't like because of the way that this is shaped. This sticks out an awful lot, and it's very low. And what I find is it feels like you're encountering odd job on occasions. You walk to get things out of the car, and your forehead meets this cutting edge rather spectacularly, and it hurts. Up front, you are greeted immediately by a leather-wrapped steering wheel and this faux carbon fibre trim pieces that go across the dash, and they are flanked with various chrome handles and piano black buttons, very similar to what we've seen in the Encore GX. In the middle, we've got more of the piano black trim which surrounds this push button gearbox, which again has got this rather nice sort of like brushed alloy buttons, well, at least for park anyway. And then you've got cup holders here in the middle. The stitching is rather nice, and it extends to this center console. On the doors, this stitching extends again, and this is padded and rather nice, this particular one. And there's more of the faux carbon fiber trim. This has Bose speakers, again, all rather nice. But then you've got standard GM switchgear for the tailgate, for instance, and the door mirrors and windows, as well as the seat memories. But that aside, it's a really pleasant place to be, and it is beautifully screwed together. So you can see from the dashboard that we've got this really nice blend of traditional gauges, and these are very classy. The font on them is very classy. And then you've got a very large center screen that wraps around them in the middle. I like that particular blend personally. Ergonomically, you've got this huge center screen that faces the driver with separate push button controls, and you've got push button controls for the heating and ventilation, which I really like. Down below, there's a space here for a phone charger. Some models are equipped with that, this one isn't. And you've got a standard USB-A and USB-C ports in there as well. So what I love about this information screen that you get uh, in the Buick, and it's on other GM models as well, it's just the functionality of it. You have your speedo, you've got a digital speedo in addition to the analog. You've got the clock there. You've got what the temperature is. It tells you whether you are in two-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, which this particular model comes with. And we can switch it between sport, off-road, touring, which is the two-wheel drive, and then the standard all-wheel drive. And basically all that sport and off-road does, it just alters the gear ratios to suit the conditions. We're going to keep it in tour, which is front-wheel drive. Okay, here we are behind the wheel of this munificent Envision. One of the things that I don't actually like about this car is the fact that when you start the car up, I've already got it running. But if I try to engage any gear, say if I want to just move it around on the driveway, it won't let me until I've got the seatbelt on. That is quite wearing, actually, after a while. It's very annoying and it's unnecessary. I understand that it's for safety purposes, but it's just unnecessary, I think, for most people with common sense. But in every other respect, I absolutely love this car. I love the ergonomic feel to it. I like the overall feel to it. This particular version has accent lighting LED strips across the tops of the doors and around the heater vents and around the edge of the dash, sort of here, and around these heater vents. And it's just a very, very nice place to be at night. Now, the reason we've got a 2023 is because for 2024, the Encore here, as well as the Encore S and the Encore Plus in China, are getting the new Wildcat-inspired front end treatment and slightly revised rear end. Also, on the inside, it's getting GM's now quite common slab of glass for your instrumentation and infotainment controls. So that's going to be a huge change. That won't be welcome for me because I love this particular setup. It's got a nice blend of modern and traditional. Now, under the hood, we've got GM's standard 2-litre LSY turbo unit. In this application, it develops 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It's the same engine and indeed the same E2XX platform as the Cadillac XT4, which I've driven before. That's just been upgraded for 2024 with that same screen, although its screen is different. That's Cadillac specific 33-inch screen that comes straight out of the Lyric. This will not get that. The reason this drives so well is because that E2XX platform is just absolutely wonderful. All Envisions in the US come with a 9-speed automatic. This would be a truly superb car with a manual, especially with the ST. And in my opinion, I think the ST, rather than being a trim package, it ought to be a separate trim in its own right. I'd love to see that with a manual gearbox, a 6-speed manual gearbox with uprated suspension and, you know, a slightly more powerful engine, because I think it would make this car absolutely phenomenal. I really do. As far as the appearance package is concerned with the ST, they've got it spot on with all the blacked out accoutrements, the wheels, the handles, the trim surrounds are all black on the ST, and you get the black roof rails as well. So they've got that nailed. So also on this particular car, we've got a package which includes the optional head-up display. And that head-up display you can have in various configurations. We've got it linked to what's on the dashboard with the posted speed limit dependent on where you are, which is linked to the navigation system. The 9-speed automatic actually works really well. I've been waxing lyrical about this particular gearbox before. It is very punchy and it works beautifully with this 2-litre LSY engine. you are off the mark immediately, and you've got, of course, the extra traction with the all-wheel drive. I'll flash up the 0 to 60 time on the screen, but before you know it, you're right there. Wind noise, I would say, it's not intrusive, but it's more than I would like. But I do like the exhaust note that's on this engine. It reminds me an awful lot of the 2 litre that was in the Terrain. And the visibility is excellent. It really does help to have these small quarter lights at the front here. We've also got electrochromic mirrors, got rear view mirror that's electrochromic, and the driver's door mirror is as well, but not the passenger. But this one comes with all the goodies like parking sensors, and it'll tell you if somebody's overtaking you, and lane assist, and all that kind of crap, which I find quite annoying, but you can switch it off. I think Buick have done a great job in making this as much of a driver's car as possible. The seats are just fantastic. They really hug you. The pedal position is great, and you can throw this into a corner with absolute precision, and it will just take you all the way through it. It is a glorious platform, this E2XX is, and it drives just like the Cadillac XT4. It costs a lot less. It's a good it starts at a good $10,000 less than the XT4 does. In this particular guise, with this equipment on it, this one is around $47,000. It will even tell you in seconds how far you are from the car in front, which is quite nice. So you don't break that 3-second rule. But this car is extraordinarily smooth. It is a very well refined piece of kit. And I know it's just a crossover, but it's a really fun car to drive. So that's my review of the 2023 Buick Envision Essence ST. Yeah, it's a great car, is this. It's one that I would thoroughly recommend. Sure, it's got a few faults, and a few faults are unforgivable, but on the whole, this is a superb package, this car, and it's reasonably priced too. So that's it from me. I'm Darren, and this is Auto Atlantica.